welcome back to the Middle of Circus Club. I'm Mike Adams, I'm the executive chef here. Quick shout out to Dirk for doing all the filming. It's my boy. And to Robin out in Utah, doing all our production work and just, like I said, always making us look good. So today is the last day of July. We're gonna finish out Emulsify in July. And we're gonna do it the right way. We're gonna do it with the hardest emulsified sauce to make. I would say, I doubt very many people would disagree with me. We're going to be making Hollandaise. I consider Hollandaise to be the iconic, classic French sauce. So iconic that it's one of the 5 mother sauces in French cuisine. It's essentially a warm mayonnaise in a way. We use egg yolks. And instead of oil, we're using butter. We're going to flavor it a little bit differently. The problem with Hollandaise is really the temperature. You really have to watch the temperature, take your time, and be gentle with it. We're going to cheat a little bit. We're going to use an immersion blender, and that's going to help. That's really going to speed up the process. So let's get going. Let's talk about ingredients really quick. So if you remember making beurre blanc last week, this is about ½ a cup of champagne vinegar. You can use white wine vinegar, whatever you want. And I threw some aromatics in there, some thyme, some shallot, some tarragon sprigs, some bay leaves, and some peppercorns. You can skip all the aromatics or use whichever ones you like, but you have to use the vinegar. You don't have to use the vinegar. A lot of people make Hollandaise without it, but I think it's really helpful. So we're going to take that ½ cup of vinegar with the aromatics. We're going to reduce it down by half. It's going to be a ¼ cup, a little bit less reduced than what we did to make the beurre blanc. Lemons, staple, salt, Tabasco, egg yolks. This is about 6 to 8 egg yolks depending on size. If they're big, use 6. If they're small, you want to use 8, just have a little bit more. Clarified butter. That is a pound of clarified butter. So why clarified? You can use regular melted butter. A lot of people do. It's easier. But the problem with the regular melted butter, butter usually goes anywhere from 26% to 14% water versus butter fat. So what you're going to get is you're going to get a thinner Hollandaise. It's not going to be as thick, it's not going to be as rich, and it's not going to be as velvety. You can buy clarified at Draeger's. I'm absolutely positive of that. And if you can't, it's really, really easy to clarify butter. Just go online, check it out on YouTube, and it won't take you any time at all. So let's get started. We're going to take our egg yolks. We're going to throw them in a bowl. And we're going to set that bowl on a bain-marie. And what this is just a pot of water it's got about 2 inches of water on it, and it's on a simmer. We don't want it to boil because it's going to get too hot. We're going to put our egg yolks over there. And the whole process here is to cook the egg yolks. Essentially, you want to bring them up to about 171 degrees to be accurate. And once we've kind of got them started, I'm going to take them off. I'm going to add this vinegar reduction. I'm going to do it this way. Add it in slowly. If you add it in too fast, it'll actually curdle the eggs, which is the same as cooking them. Thanks, Dirk. See, those have really thinned out a little bit. Now, what the vinegar does, it does 2 things. A, it's going to add a nice acidic backdrop to it. It's going to add the flavor from all those aromatics. It's going to be really, really light. The other thing it does is it stabilizes the egg proteins a little bit so that you can actually get them hotter without them scrambling. So this is going to take, what we're going to do is we're just going to cook this until it starts to thicken up. And you want to be careful. Put it on, take it off, put it on, take it off. Kind of regulate the temperature because that steam coming off of there is 212 degrees Fahrenheit. And we want it to get to 171. So we're just going to put it on, take it off, put it on, take it off. And you'll see these thicken up fairly fast because it's not that much. We're essentially cooking the egg yolks. If you see around the edges, it almost got too hot and they're almost starting to scramble. So we take it off and we just keep going. We're gonna put it back on there just for a second. We are almost there. See, I'm kind of holding it above the heat because I want to get that heat, but I don't want too much. It's super important that the bottom of your bowl does not touch that water, because then it'll really cook. So we're nice, we're thick, we've got the vinegar in there. And now, at this point, you could add your lemon juice, a little bit of Tabasco, and some salt. And you could slowly drizzle the butter in by hand. But I like to cheat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a warm, small pot with a small surface area. And I'm going to do it all in there with the virgin circulator. I just heated that up for a second so it wasn't cold, because we don't want that butter really to go below 130 degrees Fahrenheit, because if it does, it's going to start to set up. If it's too hot, then it's actually going to cook the eggs too much and it's going to scramble them out. So you have this beautiful, beautiful egg ribbon, that's what we call it. It's creamy, it's thick. Set that off to the side. And at this point, I'm going to add probably about a tablespoon of salt, a slight splash of Tabasco, completely optional. You can use sriracha, you can use Cholula, you can use nothing at all. I'm going to add some lemon juice as well. I'm going to say the juice of 1.5 lemons to start. Now, if you see, there's a little bit of water on my cutting board, and that's the fire extinguisher. So if this sauce starts to break, then I'll just add a little bit of water to it, and it'll help it to ferment. So I'm going to slowly Now the big thing with this is you can't let it get too hot. You can't let it get too cold. See how thick that's already gotten? So I'm gonna add a splash of water because I know we've got a good amount of butter that we want to add back into that. And that's gonna help thin it out so you can get a little bit more. If you think back, it's just like making an aioli. Now, classic Hollandaise was as thick as mayonnaise. See how thick we're getting? Let's take a look at that really quick. I mean, that's almost ready to stand up on its own. So I'm gonna push it a little bit. I'm gonna add a little bit more water to it. Be careful, if you add too much water, it's gonna get really thin. So add the water in small stages. There we go, we're starting to move a little bit. Slowly drizzle in. The rest of our butter. See if we can get there. If you start to see oil droplets or butter droplets appear on top of the sauce, that means it's about to break. So what I'm doing is I'm pouring that water, that butter directly into the vortex of the mixer so that it's instantly broken up. Give it one last take. Sorry, Dirk. Dirk just got splattered with Hollandaise. I really apologize. So let's look at the I'm so sorry. That goes on the bloopers reel. So let's look at this. So first of all, let's look at the texture. This is textbook. Completely holds its shape. You put it on top of a warm egg, it's gonna stay together. Now let's check the flavor of it. I think it's perfect. It could probably use a little bit more lemon juice for my own personal taste. And at this point, you can just stir that in. Check it again. Now, as far as holding this, you want to hold this around 130 to 140 degrees. You can hold it for about an hour. That would be the safest. If it breaks, if it somehow separates out while you're holding it, it happens. I've seen it happen in the middle of service. I've seen it happen several times. Take an egg yolk, do the same thing over the water, and then slowly drizzle that hollandaise back in. Just slowly whisk it in bit by bit by bit, kind of like you're remaking it. But instead of eggs and butter, you're using eggs and your hollandaise again. Variations on this, oh man, like I said, you can add sriracha to it, you can add paprika to it, you can use Meyer lemons. If you add, use red wine vinegar and some chives and some tarragon, possibly the best sauce in the world, that's going to be Bernaise. Bernaise, it's lovely. There's 1,000 things you can do, but now this is under your belt. You've seen how fast you can do it, so try it at home. Next week, I don't know, tomato sauce maybe? So I'd love to hear from you. Let us know what we're doing right. Let us know what we're doing wrong. Reach out, MICHELA at themidlowcircusclub.com. See you next week. See you at the club.
Live audience this week.